this video, web browsers, puuosi cats, and dancing chibis. Most people play their games on console, like PlayStation or Xbox or Switch, the PC gamers of the PC master race, and are the worst of them all, the casuals that play on their phones. While newer games are struggling to make their games multi-platform, there is already an existing subset of video games that do address that: browser games. And so, let's visit the last Idolmaster game we know of, playable on browsers: Idolmaster Shiny Colors. Known as Shanimas to the JP fans, or simply SC to its Western fanbase, it was released in April of 2018, soon after the closure of Idolmaster Million Live, rest their soul, as a separate branch from its predecessors, featuring a new set of characters and stories, in the good old idol-raising formula that Bandai Namco is known for. Anyway, let's see what it's like in 2025, where everything is AI-infested, wink-wink, pole-seethed into the real world, and big tech are the new tyrants of the free internet. At the time of recording, Hyorin, the best Shiny Colors idol by the way, is currently featured in its title screen. Fitting. You also have to appreciate the fact that this browser game has been running for more than 7 years now. Imagine that. Meanwhile, games like Concord. Teehee. Upon logging in, you'll be greeted by Shanima's money girl, Nanakusa Hazuki, with your login bonus. She's not always this generous, but will take the jewels. Pretty sure this was recorded way past Halloween, but thanks Hazuki-sama. Now for the obligatory idol gacha promotion. Egg roll. Lunchbox. Look at that, smug Hiyori wife. Is that supposed to be producer? Isn't that kind of rude? Probably is. Hiyori is mad. Yep, that is our dork, all right. Cat aesthetic. This color scheme hurts our eyes. Tsundere cat. Mostly dere. Probably. The English text kind of makes it cringe. Chiyuki wife? No, we're getting a different vibe here. Why is she getting flustered? Is she hiding something? Can't help but think Chiyuki is feigning that smile. Ooh-oh, so the fat cat is supposed to be Chiyuki. Well played. Chiyuki is too old for this cat thing. Cute Harukihana Halloween support. Looks good. Right off the bat, we have one daily mission done. This here is the daily mission menu, by the way. We'll come back to that. Nice sweater, Natsuha-san. These are like the current content highlights in-game. Apart from the gacha from earlier, a lot of other stuff is also available for players to usually buy with in-game currency. If ever you'll be playing, please buy them and keep the game alive. Thanks. Moving on. Let's just pick up the junk from our present stash. It's a bit more than usual for sure. There seems to be some free gacha pulls ongoing, so we'll take it. As you can see, it doesn't damage our stash. So it's free. Let's see. Bunch of low-level support cards. Tenga's most basic produce card, we thinks. More low-rarity support cards. Haruki-chan produce card. And for the USSR, what are we getting? What's with the aircraft? This is some good stuff. Kiriko in a really cute winter outfit. Was expecting her usual deadpan face, and we get a bonus training card for our troubles. Like in the pics window, there's a huge bunch of other available gachas here you can play. After all, the gacha is the main game, and everything else is just a minigame for it. We do have some old and busted tickets in here we haven't used yet. Maybe we'll bother some other time. Anyway, let's check out what the daily grind is in here. This mission is to just use some coins. So our window will be moved to the coin shop, and we'll just purchase the cheapest thing available. And that is one down. Next mission is support idol training. As you can see here, we have a bunch of unused support idols. Honestly, we have no idea how this works apart from stats, so we just go for the cutest portraits and level them up. Like Jury. She's super cute. We'll get this copy of her card to level 50 with a single ticket and complete the mission. For the final part of the mission, it's what is called in-game as Fest, supposed to be festival. This one is kind of weird since there is a rehearsal and a graded fest. Now, when we say we have no idea what we're doing, we really have no idea what we are doing apart from looking at and picking cute anime girls to play with. So, in the graded fest, our team simply gets hammered. This part of the game would also be easier if you have at least 5 idols that are trained in Pro-Juice mode already. However, we end up just keep playing with the Insei, Illumination Stars, and Mitsumine Yuika, thus our limited selection. Anyway, let's do the rehearsal mode in easy and bully the NPCs. As you can see, it's fairly simple. You just pick one of the targets on the left, pick an attack option from the bottom, and do this slidey thing until the enemies go down. Well, that's for an easy parallel with Doom. They're actually judges, your idol's supposed stage moves, and so on. It even has an Ogi in the form of Link appeal to beat the living daylights out of the judges using Hiyori's supreme darkness. Anyway, with that, we have completed the typical cycle of Idolmaster Shiny Colors daily missions. Of course, weekly missions, fest missions, normal missions, special missions, and event missions also exists. Just playing normally with daily missions, fest, and produce mode should hit most of them. Either way, anyway, just take everything you can when you can. After making Hiyori change clothes that is more suitable for the office, we're going to try out the bread and butter game mode of Shanima's, the produce mode. As you can see here, it's still getting updates and new flavors, but we'll stick to the basics, which is Wing Beginner. Here you can set up different teams to run, and we're guilty of mostly playing only with Insei, Illuminations, Stars, and sometimes Mitsumine Yuika, making our options limited. Since we can't read Japanese, we pretty much ignore most mechanics, besides the stats, and cute anime girl portraits. According to sources back in the day, you should only focus idol and support resources to only 2 stats to try and defeat 2 of the 3 enemies quickly before the competing idols do. So, yeah, having 3 judges choose you is not a good strat here. Sorry the voice fans. And for this run, we'll stack dance and voice stats. Don't even know if this is the right stats to stack. Moving on, time to get our idol a company shirt and a company badge and prepare her for the idol bloodbath. No, we don't know what that really is for. Skip. Now we have Hiyori here, waiting orders. A few quick checks on the skill tree, making sure it's right. Then we'll jump over to the lessons. You'll see here that each lesson increases the idol's parameter at the cost of stamina. There are, as far as we know, 3 parameters that are important. The 2 stat parameters you want your idol to leverage against the judges, and the number of fans required per week. So all we're really going to do here is keep choosing the lessons that correspond to the stats we want to increase in order to prepare our idol, Hyorin, in Murd, knocking out the judges with her dumb hat and swimsuit. You'll also notice that almost after every lesson, you'll get this dialogue, locally known as Kamu, which you should read if you can. But we can't, so we skip and take the stat. Sometimes, there are also some additional selections that can be chosen while navigating through Comus and reward some of this heart points, which we don't really know if it's game impacting or not. It does make you feel bad, though, if your idol is not in a good mood once the competition is here. Don't forget to start building your skill tree, by the way. And this is what we're talking about. Before your idol is thrown into heat of idol battle, it's just auditions, nothing serious. She'll ask you a question, and you got to get it right to improve her mood. Now, just like in Fest, you just match any corresponding attack options you have available for the corresponding judge for maximum points to knock them off their heels with your idol. And once your Ogi maxes out, you just have to hope that it's enough to beat the remaining judge, and so on. Now remember, you only have 7 in-game days to do this to make sure your idol reaches the fang count required in order to continue. For us, we usually do this in the last 2 days before the count to hopefully max out the stats first to improve our chances of winning the idol arena. Oh, and don't send your idol to lessons without stamina. They might accuse you of slavery and decrease some of their stats to get back at ya. Just let them have coffee when they are about a quarter of their stamina down, and they should be fine. Another thing you'll notice during lessons is that sometimes your support idol chibis would be in the lessons hanging around. If you take it, there may be some bonuses. Better take it if you can. Fishy? Hiyori sure can swim. That's totally a double. Too bad the fish did not bit her. Anyway, less beach and more lessons for you young idol. With the last 2 days remaining for this week, we'll have to reject Hiyori's request here and get her to compete in another audition to hopefully hit the next fan count and allow her to continue to week 3. Chibi cute. Anyway, with that we just do the same. Get the matching attack to the corresponding target. We got link attack early here, so we'll try to knock the voice judge before the next round. Right, we're clear. We got the dance judge too, which is good, and the scraps for the visual judge. And that's a wrap for the audition. Hiyori wins again. This also clears our idol for this week's requirement of 10,000 fans. That is pretty much the gameplay loop for produce mode. Of course, randomness due to support bonuses, stat progression, lesson progression, the slidey bar, activation chance for certain attacks, and so on, does make the gameplay loop compelling to a certain extent. However, we have to admit, we can't really enjoy this to the fullest because we have to look at external resources to read up skills, stories, and other resources to strategize further. If you're into that, or have the ability to read all the in-game text, that would be great and should help a lot in enjoying the in-game content. Emphasis again on reading, because one of the major reasons to get new cards is to get new stories that would allow you to continue following your chosen idol's journey in the business. Like the Paracole series, right bros? Wink wink. Anyway, fast forward to week 4, or apparently it's season. Doesn't really make sense when a 7 countdown is usually a week, but whatever. Hiyori is again mopping the floor with the beginner NPCs, or supposedly, as you can see, one of the NPCs is just 1 point behind her, probably stealing some points from the second and third judge, which is a sign for what's to come. At 100,000 fans, your idol will now be able to compete in the actual Wing Live. So, before that, make sure all her stat points are plugged into something and dive in. You definitely have a grander chibi stage here compared to the auditions. Jury doing well in there getting the judge, but the C idol mogged Hiyori of some points there and didn't quite manage to save it with the link appeal. Pretty much ends our run for this produce mode, or we probably just don't know what we're doing. Yeah, that's highly likely it, and on that terrible disappointment, it's time to end the show. Good night.